The Spartans have a very powerful image ingrained into many of our imaginations when we think of them. Bronze gleaming armour, scarlet red cloaks, and of course a shield sporting the proud Lambda. But how accurate really is this idea of Spartans having this unified Lambda on their shields? What is the evidence for this Lambda? We know that the Lambda was not a shield blazon uniformly given to Spartans for at least most of Spartan history. We have literary mentions of Spartans painting specific symbols on their shields. For example, Plutarch talking about a Spartan who decided to paint a life-size fly on his shield. Also, all Laconian artwork shows a variety of shield blazons or designs, from Gorgon heads to floral and solar symbols. And interestingly enough, not a single Lambda is depicted at all in any surviving artwork, Laconian or otherwise, depicting Laconians. So where does this idea and source come from then of Spartans or Lacedaemonians using the Lambda? Well, there is one surviving fragment, well, kind of surviving fragment, from an Athenian playwright and comic writer, so he's writing comedies in the time of the Peloponnesian Wars, called Eupolis. There is a fragment, one of his comedies, which does not survive to this day, but there is a 9th century AD writer from Constantinople called Photius who cites this original citation. Now, I'll get into what this citation actually says, but this 9th century AD writer who includes a fragment of an Athenian comedy writer is the only possible mention and evidence we have for Spartans using the Lambda. So what is this source? What does he say? He essentially says in one of his comedies that someone was so terrified by the bouncing or gleaming Lambdas. He doesn't specifically mention whether those Lambdas are on shields. We don't know whether that could potentially be some Athenian slang just for Lacedaemonians. It could be a comic, comedic slogan or joke that we as a modern audience don't understand that would be applied to an Athenian audience. We don't know if he's talking about shields. Photius believes that he does. So that is the only historical source at all for Lambdas being possibly on shields. Now, there is some other evidence that could potentially be used in favour of this. We know that around this same time period, around the Peloponnesian War, more standardised or at least somewhat regulated shield blazons tend to exist. For instance, as Xenophon writes of hoplites redecorating their shields to emblazon the Club of Heracles to blend in with a Theban force, or there's other polises that have letters established to represent them, but there seems to be quite a new feature around this period. So it's possible, we know that the Spartans of old, the Spartans of the time of Leonidas and the Spartans of the Archaic period did not have the Lambda. Their artwork shows this, and literary mentions explicitly state that they painted their own designs on them. So is it possible that this more unification of the Lambda being adopted by the Lacedaemonians could have taken place around 420 BC? It's possible. Does it fit in with the homoioi, the similars or the equals? Yes, I suppose it does. What I myself think, and what other experts have theorized as well, is that if this practice was done, if Eupolis' citation of these bouncing or gleaming Lambdas was actually a shield, then it quite possibly was not used by the Spartans themselves at all, but their subjects. We know in this period that the Spartans, Brasidas famously freed 700 Helots who fought with him. We know that they were equipping underclass subjects, like Helots, their working servant class. We also supposedly have mentions of Spartan shields having removable porpaxes or armbands. Herodotus mentions that this is because they're fearful of Helot uprisings. However, we know that this was not a uniquely Laconian implement. They've been found all across the Greek world, and it's highly likely and possible that this could be used for storage to stack shields together. So maybe was given to Helot conscriptees, who were given shields that were disarmed and stacked for storage reasons. So this could also fall in line here that it could potentially be a Helot shield given to them by the Laconian or Lacedaemonian governing forces as a issued shield, which had removable porpaxes because they had to be stored somewhere. So it's possible that this Spartan Lambda shield didn't exist at all. It's possible that it did exist and was used actually by Spartan slaves, essentially, not the actual Homoioi themselves. And there is, of course, the possibility that it was a Homoioi-adopted shield blazon. But the evidence is really, really far out there. There's a lot of stretches to come to either of those conclusions from the one semi-fragment piece that we have remaining from an Athenian comedy play. That's really all there is to it. So no Laconian artwork or Athenian artwork or anything shows lambdas on shields. And the only mention we have is, again, a late 5th century, mid-5th century Athenian comic writer who mentioned someone being fearful of gleaming lambdas. There we go. Maybe not quite as exciting as you thought, but that very iconic image of the Spartans all with uniform shields is quite possibly not real at all. If you enjoy what I do here on this channel and would like to support it even further than just liking these videos, subscribing to the channel and watching them, then please consider checking out my Patreon page, linked in the description below, or my YouTube membership. It's really a massive thank you to those of you who do continue to support the channel. It truly does mean a lot. If you can't afford to do that or don't want to do that, again, no worries at all. Just liking these videos and watching them and sharing them, if you're kind enough to, is a great help. So thank you very much for watching this video. What do you think? Was the Spartan Lambda actually a shield used by the Spartiates themselves? Was it completely fabricated and made up? Or was it possibly used by their slave class? Let me know in the comments below. I'll be very interested to hear your thoughts. Thanks very much for watching this video, and hopefully catch you in the next one.